Matt Bernier taking a look at some stakes action from the Big A on Sunday. Race number 7, 6.5 furlongs on the main track. State bred stakes action, the Rego Park. It's a $100,000 purse. This is for New York bred 3-year-olds. Before we dive into the field, I'd encourage you to head on over to bets.drf.com. You can go there and find out all the latest as far as details are concerned. For new DRF Bet sign-up members, you get a great bonus, all sorts of good stuff. Bets.drf.com is where you need to go. Let's take a look at this field of 3-year-olds that will go 6.5 furlongs on the main strip. I think it's an interesting race. I think there's one or two horses, though, that, in my opinion, I don't want to say are head and shoulders above everyone else, but I think they're considerably better than most of the other horses, and I think they're strictly the horses to beat. The number 1, By Dawn's Early Light, most recently broke the maiden for Tom Albertrani, beat a very, very weak field that day. The runner-up came back and earned a 35 buyer, 4th place, a 58. The 71 that this horse earned is too slow. The time form rating is too slow. You do need to note that that came with the addition of blinkers for the first time. In gate to wire fashion. I have a difficult time imagining the 1 clearing off and making the front. As we see by the Timeform US pace projector, they also kind of agree with that sentiment. They have this horse placed 4th. The number 2, Blind Willie McTell, is the one that they have cutting out the fractions with the 4 and the 11 close in attendance. By Dawn's Early Light, nice horse. I want to see this one improve from a speed figure standpoint. Number 2 is Blind Willie McTell. This one goes out for Linda Rice. I liked him in that New York Stallion Series race, his second lifetime start. Caught a sloppy sealed track. He was a maiden that day, bet down to 5-2. Goes out there and whizzes on the front end. Wins by more than 2 lengths. Highest last out buyer in the field with an 85. Highest last out raw time form rating with a 109. The other thing that's at least encouraging about this horse, and really that race as a whole, you've got 2 other horses that ran 2nd and 3rd. They're also back in this spot. The 4th place finisher, who was 4.25 lengths behind the 3rd place finisher that day, came back and earned a 63 in his next start. So you at least get a fair feeling that that was a legitimate race and that the figure is pretty darn close. I think Blind Willie McTell might be a pretty talented one. 3-year-old gelding by Posse. I just kind of think he's going to end up being a pretty solid runner for Linda, and I think he's going to get the job done here. And again, if that pace projector plays out the way that it looks like it could, I think he's strictly the horse to beat. And then you add in this little piece right here. This is a positive formulator fact for Linda Rice. Past 5 years, dirt winner last out, sprints, non-graded stakes races, state bred and restricted. 10 for 30, 18 in the money with a 236 ROI. Blind Willie McTell, to me, he's the horse to beat. And I hate to say it, I'm not going to get too cute. I think he's probably going to get the job done. The 3 Funny Guy for John Terranova broke the maiden most recently. I can basically echo most of the things that I said about By Dawn's Early Light earlier. The only difference here is Funny Guy at least has the, I don't know that he has a ton of tactical ability, but I don't think he's going to be up there pushing the pace. I think he's going to sit probably mid-pack, and if you think that this pace ends up heating up a little bit more than Timeform US does, and a little bit more than I think it will, then maybe Funny Guy works out a good trip in here. It's worth noting that wind did come over a muddy sealed racing surface, so if you end up with a fast trip, he's going to need to prove that he can handle that on Sunday afternoon. The 4 Cadence Courage is a fast horse. The problem is he is yet to display the ability to sit off of a target and be successful. His only win, 2 starts back, essentially gate-to-wire fashion. The most recent try, he wasn't fast enough to get to the front with Blind Willie McTell in there. He's going to face him again in this spot, and I kind of agree with the pace projector. Also breaking just a couple stalls outside, I kind of feel like Manny Franco, their best move here is going to be to sit off of his flank and hope that maybe today's the day that he puts it all together, or maybe someone else is the one that wants to go, and maybe there's a little bit of a duel up on the front end with Blind Willie McTell, maybe that saps some of the energy out of him, and then Cadence Courage can take over. I think he's best when he's on the lead, and he needs to prove that he has the ability to sit and finish. The 5 is Show Prince for Gary Siaka. Most recently, a maiden winner. Manny Franco had the mount there that day. He is on Cadence Courage this time around. Show Prince, that most recent race, it's interesting. From a speed figure standpoint, it came back quite slow from a buyer and from a time form standpoint. But when you look and see what a couple of those horses have done exiting that race, Hushin, the 3rd place finisher, he was a next out winner, breaking his maiden with a 77 buyer. And the 7th place finisher was the next out winner with a 64. So I do wonder if those figures are a little bit on the light side, especially when you consider 3 starts back at Belmont Park. In his second lifetime start, he earned a 67 buyer and an 89 raw time form rating. So I think maybe this horse is a little bit better than it looks on paper. It's just going to be interesting to see what kind of trip he works out. I don't think he's up there pushing the pace. I think he can sit a little bit. The question remains, is he good enough to run with the likes of Blind Willie McTell or any of these other runners? Thorny Tail ran a good second in behind Blind Willie McTell. How many times am I going to say Blind Willie McTell in this race? Thorny Tail ran a good race, a good second in that New York Stallion Series race most recently. He broke his maiden in his career debut. The best thing that Thorny Tail has going for him, again, if you believe that pace situation could potentially heat up, he doesn't have to be up there. He can sit a length or 2 or 3 off of it and still be effective as he displayed in that career debut. Again, I thought he ran just fine in that stakes race most recently. Couldn't quite get to the winner. We'll find out. Perhaps a different pace scenario will work to his advantage. I still am a little bit dubious. I do like this horse, though. I think he's nice, and I think he could be a legitimate 3-year-old as far as the New York bred races are concerned going forward. The number 7 horse is Tiergan. Tiergan goes out for Bill Mott. Mott's barn's off to a tremendous start here in this Aqueduct meeting here over the winter. The problem with this horse is he is very, very slow. He is completely void of early speed. He's been gone for a little while. They ran him at Churchill over a sloppy sealed track, didn't pick his feet up. 2 turns at Churchill, didn't pick his feet up. Sure, he won his career debut, and he beat a couple of these horses that he's facing again, but had a giant pace to run at that day, has no early speed whatsoever. He's going to be dependent on pace to really come with that late run, and I don't think he's going to get it in this spot. The 8 is Strive for a Cure for Dale Capuano, coming up from Maryland. This horse most recently didn't really do a heck of a lot of running, but that was going 2 turns at Laurel over a good sealed track. Broke his maiden here, took some sneaky early money, eventually went off at 10-1, got the job done at Belmont Park going 6.5, but he's another one that just feels like he doesn't have any early speed, and in a sprint race that seems like it lacks some early zip. I think that works against him. The 9, Just Right, is the other horse that I'm interested in here for Todd Pletcher. Jose Lascano with the mount. Most recently, 79 buyer, raw 101 time form rating. When you look and see the form of that race, this horse finished second. He was 3 1/4 lengths behind Le General, or La General, however you'd like to pronounce it. The good news for Just Right, the 3rd and 4th place finishers in their next starts, they came back and earned 80 buyer speed figures. So that race is held up. Just Right, when he broke his maiden, or he ran well and won 2 starts back, broke his maiden 4 starts back. 2 starts back at Aqueduct at a 1-turn mile. The horse he defeated by 2 lengths Pipes came back and earned an 81 in his next start. The question that I have for this horse in this race, where is he going to be positioned early on? Because sure, he's had some nice tactical speed in these longer races, and I know he's been close in those shorter ones. I just, with the turn back now, I do wonder how far back is he going to be? And at that point, do you want to give a horse like Blind Willie McTell a little bit of a head start? Because at that point, I think you're going to have an issue trying to run him down. I think Just Right is a nice horse for Pletcher. I think he can ultimately be maybe even a horse that you want to try and open company at some point. But Just Right, to me, I do wonder if the dynamics of this race potentially work against him. The 10, Bustin' to be Loved. This is a horse that I thought was impressive when he broke his maiden in his career debut up at Saratoga. And ever since then, he has really kind of floundered. But what's the common theme? These 4 most recent races, he has yet to make the front in any of them. In his career debut, he went out there and rolled on the front end gate to wire. I don't know that he has the speed to make the front. I think Chris DiCarlo has to be aggressive, get him into the run early, and try to at least push the pace. But having said that, I don't like his chances. And the 11 as Casmania. Casmania goes out for Peter Kazimias. This is a horse most recently earned a 77 buyer and a 95 raw time form rating. That was at Penn National. And to be honest, when you look at it, this horse debuted at Belmont Park in October, and he was 53-1, and he didn't really do a heck of a lot of running. Came with a bit of a late bid. Then they go down to Penn National against much, much inferior company. He goes out there and looks like $1 million. He's going to be facing a heck of a lot tougher company here this time around. I want him to prove to me that those numbers in the most recent race are legit before I go buying in at what should still be a square number. So if you believe, you're going to get paid. I just want to see if this horse actually classes up here. So the 7th, at Aqueduct on Sunday, the Rego Park. It's a fun race. My pick, as we take a look here, Captain Obvious. I think Blind Willie McTell could be a good one for Linda Rice. I'm going to go 2-9 in here because I think that horse, as well as Pletcher's horse, Just Right, there's a chance to me that going forward they could end up being a little bit better than state-bred stakes company. Perhaps at some point they end up trying open company, but for now I think they're the 2 best horses in here, and I think Blind Willie McTell's tactical advantage is going to be enough for him to get the job done over Just Right. So 2-9 for me in the 7th at Aqueduct on Sunday. Scheduled post time for the Rego Park at Aqueduct is 3:58 Eastern. Good luck.